Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to the NFL Sunday Morning Show right here on the Hardcore Sports Network. I'm here with my guys Nicky Steves, James from Steelers by the Lake Podcast, and Football Talk with Bo. How's everyone doing? Wow, what a day yesterday.
Oh, yes, you said it.
What a freaking...
I'm surprised Bo isn't hungover.
I was going to say, I'm doing good, but I got to imagine Bo's doing better than I am right now.
Man, talk about it.
You know what? Let's start off talking about Seahawks and the Niners. Go for it, Bo. Let's start off with that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought it would be a Seahawks win, right? I really thought it was going to be closer than this. Like it was, you end up with that kickoff return, and then you saw that flag come out, right? And immediately your thought is, there was holding, it's coming back. And then you saw their kicker try and slide tackle him, which was wild.
Right.
It's only dumb if it doesn't work, right? Because if you tackle him that way, he still doesn't score. It's just a 15-yard unsportsmanlike. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a bad route to go to not get your kicker hurt, but it was weird to see a slide tackle.
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
Yeah. No, we see the cat just going off on the Niners. Oh, I thought you were saying something. James, that game, how'd you feel?
I mean, you had to feel like Michael Irvin was on the sidelines with his belt in hand because that's just the kind of whooping we saw there. It really wasn't close from the beginning. It's just kind of a masterclass by that Seahawks defense. Bo's told us all year long we need to take that Seahawks defense serious. And it was on full display yesterday, no doubt about that. So just impressive. They swarm, they get pressure very quickly on the quarterback. You didn't see Brock Purdy sitting back there waiting and having no. He didn't have time at all that whole game. So just a very impressive all-around performance, I felt like. My one question I have, though, is I was hearing a couple of days before the game about Sam Darnold having some injury and not sure what it was and whatnot. But what do you know about all that? Is he going to be good to go for next week? What did they just kind of drug him up? What's the story there?
So it was an oblique injury, which it can be an issue for throwing motion, right? But he kind of caught it early, right? So he came out in a press conference, I believe it was Tuesday. It's Tuesday or Wednesday, and basically he felt a twinge and he shut it down right away, right? He's been taking first team reps all year, so it's not like it's necessarily hugely important that he takes the next day's worth of them, right? Because Friday was going to be a walkthrough anyway. So basically they shut it down right away, and he was getting treatment on it, but as you could see, he played through it just fine.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me if he is limited in practice this week, though. Again, just trying to preserve that. Because, I mean, if you don't have your timing down worked out by the championship game, you ain't going to do it in the next 2 days either.
Right.
It's more than fair.
Nicky.
I mean, I'm starting to wonder, did the Seahawks, because one buddy thinks that they might have exaggerated the extent of the injury to catch the 49ers by surprise and to make them, but that's all speculation. But as far as the game goes, 49ers can't blame George Kittle's injury for that one, because there was a lot bigger problems they had. For starters, they couldn't get anything going offensively. They scored a combined 9 points in 2 of their last 3 games, both being those games against the Seahawks. And just Seattle, Kenneth Walker. What was that? That was almost like a Sean Alexander, Marshawn Lynch's type performance right there.
What a game from him, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that Seahawks defense, that's the best part about having a bunch of guys that play well. You don't really have one big superstar, but that means you can afford to have a bunch of guys that can make plays on that defensive side of the ball. It's not just one guy. Like usually when you have one
and routes on air, just kind of felt a little something in my
guys around them, because you're like, when you got them in that big Man,
I just clicked
great
it. I just
performance
clicked it.
by the Seahawks.
Yeah. What is up? What is this, Bo?
So this is kind of combat your theory of them trying to play it up, because this was the day that he had that had the injury where he came out of practice. So
In routes on air, just kind of felt a little something in my oblique. Just didn't want to push it. Wasn't the day to push it, so that was it. So just came inside, got some rehab, and feel like I'll be ready to go for Saturday.
So, I mean, and that was the day that injury popped up. So, I mean, it definitely wasn't like they were trying to spin it into something. That being said, we've seen Drew Lock when he's had to come in play well. In fact, Mitch has seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yes, I have. But for me, for this game, I knew it was over after that kickoff return. I knew it was over. Like, the Niners just couldn't match up with Seattle, and
Right.
Seattle's
Good
just
for
been that
Shaheed.
team
He
all
gets
year.
to go on a real team.
Yeah. Yeah. What is up, AK? Yeah, Seattle's just been that team all year.
Absolutely dominant in special teams.
Oh, my
If
God.
that were
Yeah.
to happen, which that's in question now, it would be Super Bowl 48 Part 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. But now we got to get to the better game. I feel like the Broncos defeat the Bills in overtime,
Oh,
but they lose Bo Nix. He is
Yeah.
out for the season,
lot to talk
out for the
about.
playoffs. So I'm going to start with James on this one.
Does anybody know what a catch is? Anyone?
Bro.
Take the defender out of that picture
Yeah.
and just say the ball pops out where the defender pulled it out. That's an incomplete pass because he didn't survive the ground. Right? So the defender ends up with that ball. The ball never touched the ground. It's an interception. Now, it's not popular with Bills fans, but I mean, it's a pretty established thing. You have to completely survive the ground for it to be a catch, because it's not like he caught the ball, took 2 steps, made a football move, which is the requirement, right? So he had 2 feet as he's going to the ground, which now means you have to survive the ground. And for the defender to end up with the ball, it's an interception. That being said, the fact that they didn't review it is a little suspect, right? Those refs, I guess, had to go home. I don't know. But, they're just like, yeah, you know what? I got a reservation. This game's already long. But so for them to not review it was probably a little bit wild. But at the end of the day, he had to survive the ground, which in this case he didn't.
Right.
More than
Nikki?
fair.
Go for it. Go for it, Nikki.
That was more than fair of an explanation. I think that was a better explanation than we got off the TV broadcast. That's for sure. Because it was just so quick. They moved right on to the next thing. And you had some folks arguing whether or not it was joint possession, which joint possession would typically go to the offensive player. But if it's not joint possession, then there's nothing to talk about.
Joint possession would be if they were both laying on the ground together still with the ball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which
but because of the way that they rolled apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
hey, that just goes. You got to put your time in the weight room, right?
That's
right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would be cold if that defender would have been like, "Oh, too small." Like,
get up and flex on him.
15-yard roll, it would have been funny.
True.
But a great game though, right? Back and forth all game long. There were times that I thought the Bills were completely out of this game. I thought the Broncos were completely out of it at other times, and it just kept on rallying with each other. So I thought it was a fantastic football game to watch as a fan with no vested interest in one team winning over the other team. Just extremely exciting game.
True.
Yeah, I was so surprised that it went to overtime, because I was watching the game at home, and then I was taken off because I was going to watch the Seahawks game at Wild Wings, right? So I was like, man, I'm going to miss the end of this game. I was super bummed. And then I get there and I'm like, overtime. Yes.
Yep. Uh-huh. What about Bo Nix though?
Yeah.
What about dude, that's. Oh
How'd
my
you break an
God.
ankle on a kneel down? Did somebody step on him?
So it was to play before.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, I'm like, what?
It was on the pass play. It
Okay.
was on the pass play. You can see him get up hobbling.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So and then the kneel, obviously didn't help him out. So he was really glad that his kicker made that.
Dude, right?
Unfortunately, he's done for the year. So they better hope Stidham is Nick Foles.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Nikki, what about you, man, for this game in Bo Nix?
I'll start off with the rule. I think we've seen this time and time again. People debate about it. This might have more to do with it being a bad rule than it is necessarily the right or wrong call, because we've had this debate how many times throughout the years since that rule was made? Like 5 plus 7 times 6, carry the 3, lost count.
Yeah, right.
So we've had this debate plenty of times. But
Mhm.
that's the way it is, apparently. But at the same time, for Buffalo, let's talk about them for a second, because
Go for it.
you don't have Kansas City in the playoffs, right? And you still ended up losing in this one to the Denver Broncos. So it's like, at some point in time, you can't just blame, it's just Kansas City. It's just Kansas City. No, it's not, because they've also lost to Cincinnati in the 2022 season. So I don't want to hear that excuse anymore. At some point in time, it's like, okay, what does Buffalo have to do differently? In this case, they could have played better in the first half on offense. That would have helped them out. Matter of fact, they'd probably win the game if they played more offensively in the first half and scored more points, because then ultimately, that's what they would have, because it went to overtime. You just score more in the first half, you probably win in regulation. You're moving on to the AFC Championship game.
That makes me think of a John Madden. The team that scores the most points probably going to win. Like,
so there's that as well. But at some point in time, we just got to start looking at Josh Allen and Sean McDermott and be like, look, come playoff time, these guys have not been able to deliver. And at some point in time, they got to both get some of the blame. It's like Josh Allen, hey, he's a great regular season quarterback, but come playoff time, he just hasn't been able to do it yet. For whatever reason, though, it just doesn't happen. I mean, and now for the Broncos, though, hey, I mean, the Bo Nix enigma shined great in this game. What I mean by the enigma is it's one game, he'll look like 2011 Tebow. You think, oh, they're lucky they won. Next game, you actually see flashes of a star quarterback. And this game, we saw some of the flashes of a star quarterback, but it came at a heavy cost. We obviously know what that is. Now, the interesting question is, can Jarrett Stidham step up? I think the odds are stacked, because Stidham, the difference between him and Nick Foles is Nick Foles did have a Pro Bowl year 4 years prior to that with the Eagles, so he at least had some rapport with that offense. Whereas Jarrett Stidham, what has he get done with the Broncos? So it's going to be a longer shot that it happens. I mean, it could, because theoretically anything could, but come conference championship game, you're bringing him in, a guy who doesn't have chemistry with the team, that's going to be tough. So the odds are stacked against them now, despite winning this game. So,
the only thing that I would say to contrast with that is Stidham is Sean Payton's guy. Like, he wanted Stidham over Russell Wilson, right? So, I mean, if there was any coach that was going to get Stidham up to speed, it would be Payton. So I'm actually very curious to see what he does. The downside for Stidham is he's going to be doing it in a conference championship game against one of the best defenses in the AFC, regardless of which one of those teams move on today.
Yeah. Either way, I still got Broncos losing. Either way.
No question.
There's no way about that. But
and it kind of shoots a hole in the whole theory of like, oh, the refs wanted the Broncos to make it to the Super Bowl thing. I mean, obviously you can't predict injuries, but if there were some kind of conspiracy theory going on, the Broncos aren't making it past this next week.
I mean, if you're doing conspiracy theory, then the Pats have to win today, because then they're going to make Seattle win, and then it's going to be a rematch of either the Broncos or the Patriots, right? If they're scripting something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Texans aren't a big enough draw.
Well, let's hope it's the Broncos one, because that game was fun for Seahawk fans.
Yeah.
It looked very similar to last night.
So what is next for Buffalo? Like, they had every chance. This was the year, but now I feel like they gotta do something else. James, what's next for the Buffalo?
I mean, where I live, there's a lot of Buffalo Bills fans around here, so I kind of get a lot of good in-depth conversations with a lot of them. And the common consensus is that they did not have a good run defense this year. Teams that wanted to run on them ran on them. The next most common consensus thing was that the wide receiver core was no good. So it's easy to throw the blame on Josh Allen and the head coach, and they are to blame for a very large degree. It starts at the top and it rolls its way down, but they got to do a better job of completing a whole team. When you're marching Trey White back out of retirement and starting him, and Keon Coleman has just been nothing but the drops most of his career, although he had a heck of a catch in that game last night, extending over the end zone. I'll give him that one. But the supporting cast for Josh Allen just has not been good enough. And the defense needs to be good enough to not be in a situation where the Bills have to score 30-plus points in order to win a game. You need to be able to shut some people down once in a while. So I don't think they need to completely tear it down, but they need to specifically target a few of these key positions to give the right weapons to Josh Allen and to give a formidable enough defense to slow down an opponent when it comes to these big clutch games. Because when you're letting the other team score 33 on you, you're not going to win very many games in the playoffs that way.
And you got turnovers too. Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
3
5
fumbles
turnovers for Josh.
lost.
5? How many fumbles were there? 3?
3 fumbles, 5 total turnovers.
Yeah.
Geez, yeah, they lost the game based on that. Wow.
That's why I was laughing when people are like, oh, the calls were terrible. It's like, if you turn the ball over 5 times, you deserve to lose.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not very often that you pull a Jared Goff where you throw 5 picks and somehow still win the game. Like, that's not generally how that works. If you're -3 or more, 99% of the time you lose that game. I think the stat that I heard last night, it was like 1 in 86. It doesn't exactly say good things if you're turning the ball over at a high clip. So, yeah, I mean, you can try and grasp it. Oh, the refs did this to us and all of this, and that wasn't an interception and all of that stuff. That's great. But you know what? If you don't turn the ball over the 4 other times, and maybe you score when you're on the 15, those types of things, this game goes differently. So you can try and blame it on whatever, but you just got to play better.
And you can't carry the football like a loaf of bread like Josh Allen did before the end of the first half.
Exactly.
He's scrambling, the time's running out, the chances of them putting points on the board are low, but never zero if you've got Josh Allen. But why in the world is he holding that ball with one hand down by his waist, not holding it high and tight, brother, high and tight? You got to protect the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of blaming the refs. I mean, the Seattle has like the best case ever for blaming refs, right? In the Super Bowl against the Steelers, right? And you know what I blame that loss on? I don't blame it on the refs. There were egregious calls, no question. But I blame it on the 5 dropped first downs on 3rd down throughout that game that were all in areas that would have set up, potential scoring drives. All of them would have been in field goal range. So you hit 2 of those 5 different field goals. That's a different game. Seattle goes away with a ring. So then all of a sudden the refs are no longer a factor of that. So I never love hearing about, oh, the refs cost us this. It's like, don't leave a game up to the refs. Go beat that team. If you left it up to the refs, that's on you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Josh Allen overrated? No? Yes?
No, that team is literally built for, if Josh Allen is Superman, you win. And if he's not, the entire thing crumbles. The defense doesn't play as hard. The running game somehow evaporates, despite the fact that it was the number 1 rushing attack. It's crazy that as soon as Josh Allen has a bad day, no one else can play football. So, I mean, you can blame it on him. He had his worst day in the playoffs. At the same time, your team needs to be able to pick up a guy that isn't having his best day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James.
I couldn't agree more. There's just not enough weapons around Josh Allen. When he's on, he's incredible. We've seen him put up incredible performances more often than not. You give him 10 games in a row, he's probably going to put up 8 awesome games, 1 mediocre game, and 1 stinker. It just so happened that this was the stinker, and overall, he still ran or threw for 280 yards and ran for another 66. So it wasn't like it was a really, really bad game. It's just those turnovers killed him in this game.
Nikki?
I mean, yeah, with Buffalo, hey, that's part of the problem when you go rely on one player solely to win games. Because you're not going to be – look, you can't realistically rely on one player to win you a game every single time. And if you're doing that, then ultimately, hey, when he's not on, you're going to have a lot of bad luck. See Kansas City did throughout the season with Patrick Mahomes. That's how they're relying on them bank ended up biting them in the long term. I mean, with Josh Allen, it's great during the regular season when he's healthy, he can win you enough games, but come playoff time, it doesn't always work out, does it? Because we've seen this year after year after year after year after year. I mean, Buffalo's got to find some way to do. And we've seen this historically, too, while we're out. See Dan Marino as an example. They built the Miami Dolphins solely on him. And ultimately, Dan Marino's are considered the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. So, yeah, well, obviously, that can hurt them in the long term. Remember Andrew Luck with the Colts? And I believe if Andrew Luck didn't get hurt, he would have been the modern comparison to Dan Marino in that regard, where they still would have had good regular seasons, but I don't think it would have been good enough to win a Super Bowl. But they were structured similarly. And look at ever since Luck retired, they minus that 1 year they got to the playoffs with Phillip Rivers, they've just been mostly mediocre since.
Yeah. So next up, we got to talk about the coaching. James, Mike Tomlin officially stepped down. Is he going to get traded to where?
It won't happen this year.
Right.
After 19 years straight as a head coach in an organization where the expectations are high, and they should be because it's a storied historical football team, right? He's taking a year off. He in conversations with folks has indicated he doesn't have any interest in coaching this upcoming season. I don't blame him. I'd be surprised if he does TV also, even though there's lots of rumors out there that he's going to do TV for a year. So it all depends on after 1 year if he gets that itch. He's not even 55 years old yet. He's like 53 or 54. So he's plenty young enough to go to another team and coach another team for another 10 or 15 years if he decided to. And he's plenty talented of a coach to do so. So I think he takes a year off and then he reevaluates. If he really wants to do it a year from now, he would be a very highly sought after coach. And he could probably pick darn near any team that's available. And there's usually at least 6 or 7 teams available every year. So would it be nice for Pittsburgh? Yeah, absolutely, man. We'd love for somebody to want him and be able to trade the rights to him. But from what I understand, it's a short window. He was only under contract for 1 more year. There was an option for 2027 as well. So there's some debate as to whether or not they have the rights through the 2027 season. Also, most people say yes. There's a few that say no. But beyond that, the common consensus is no, they don't have the rights anymore after that. So it's got to be soon. Otherwise, Pittsburgh doesn't benefit in any way.
Right. Bo?
Yeah, so it does sound like he might take that TV job because it sounds like CBS reached out to him with Matt Ryan vacating that spot. So he would have that kind of plug and play on a panel, which that wouldn't shock me. But when you're looking at it from the next coaching side, it's not a real attractive job, right? Because you're looking at a team that has a really old, expensive defense. Cam Hayward announces his retirement. you don't have a quarterback. When you're looking at that situation, you're like, okay, we're coming off of 19 straight years of being, above 500, lots of playoff appearances. So as the next person coming in, the expectations are super high, and the construction of the team is not one where you're going to necessarily have success. So that next person that comes in, they get that first losing season in the last 20 years, and that fan base is going to barbecue them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here for it, but
Yeah. All right. If he joins CBS, he would join Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Nikki, Mike Tomlin.
Well, hey, you're talking about someone who's been one of the longest tenured head coaches in the NFL. I mean, if you're talking about longest tenured head coaches for most straight seasons as a head coach, that'd be Andy Reid, because he went right to Kansas City right after his tenure with the Eagles. He didn't take any time off. But back to Tomlin, he's been around since 2007 as a head coach. He's won a couple Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl, been to 2. Had all those seasons without a losing record. And he did a lot of them without a really strong roster in his later years. That's a respectable accomplishment. And now here you talk about one of the best coaches of all time, retired, temporarily either taking a step back or going to accept the job in the booth like Bill Cowher, one or the other. But we know he's not going to be coaching next season. I did see that article too.
Well,
So,
and comment.
And now for Pitt. So we'll have to see about a year from now what Tomlin decides to do. But for Pittsburgh, yeah, that's going to be – it's not a favorable situation. It sounds at first like a great opportunity. Oh, go to a team that hasn't had a losing season over a couple decades that consistently makes the playoffs. Sounds appealing at first, but then when you look at the roster, you're like, okay, this might have had more to do with the coach who was there than the roster. For a inexperienced coach, that's not the place to start at.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably someone with some experience in that situation, but at the same time, when it comes to experienced coaches, who's available? I mean, not Kevin Stefanski. He just took the job with the Falcons yesterday.
Harbaugh we'll talk about that later.
Giants, so it's going to be tough for Pittsburgh.
They could take Kevin Patullo.
Oh gosh!
Look,
he saw James' reaction. He knows
we're good. We're good.
And to answer your question there, Donna, yeah, I did see Cowher talking about it. He said that he didn't have that urge to coach again, but a lot of guys do, and so it wouldn't be a surprise to me, especially based on Tomlin's age, if he wanted to make a return for sure. But age doesn't necessarily matter. If you guys ever watched my Coach's Corner show, my co-host on that went back to coaching, and he coached in the NFL for 30 plus years, and he's currently on the coaching staff of the Tennessee Volunteers. So it's just, do you have that need to coach, right? And so some of that is really just up to the person. But Cowher came out and said that he's like, yeah, I never had it. He enjoyed the next phase of his career.
Right, yeah, but I gotta, as far as like the Steelers head coaching position, I have to just present my side of the argument on things. If you're looking for a head coaching job and you don't want to have to worry about getting fired right away, the Rooneys have shown to be a very patient organization that is not quick knee-jerk reaction. All indications were they weren't even planning on firing Mike Tomlin, that they were going to let him ride out the rest of his contract. Maybe they wouldn't have renewed it had they not won another playoff game. I wouldn't have been surprised. But you do have some pieces in place, too, like the offensive line. 4 of the 5 starters are returning, and they're all very young and high draft picks that have been playing good football, too. You've got some running backs that have made some splash this year. And some defenders, Joey Porter Jr.'s numbers, he didn't allow a single touchdown the entire season. So you've got some pieces to work with. So it's not like a complete dumpster fire. You just have to find a quarterback, which, of course, is one of the most important things in football. But at least you get to choose your own guy. You're not going into it with somebody that you don't necessarily like. You get to go find your own guy. If you like somebody on the roster, cool. If not, go draft somebody, go pick somebody up in free agency.
Yep. Yep. All right. So let's get right into the coaches who got hired. John Harbaugh to the Giants on a 5-year deal. I wanted him to go to the Raiders, but we all kind of knew he was going to go to the Giants. So, Nikki, how do you feel about facing him 2 times a year for the next 5?
Well, it's going to be interesting to say the least because the Giants may have the opportunity to potentially get back into the mix. Now, we still have several factors you got to consider. One, they still got to complete the rebuild because we saw from this year a combination of injuries and lack of depth on their roster. They still got some work to do. But at the same time, you're talking about John Harbaugh, the best coach they've had post Coughlin easily. That's definitely a big improvement. So there's at least some potential. But here's the thing you got to consider. Considering the long haul, Harbaugh did underachieve with the Ravens, particularly in the later stretch. So there's still that risk factor involved too with the Giants. Even though I definitely do believe they give them time, they'll definitely become a better team for sure. There is also the risk that they underachieve maybe a few years from now once they get a few better players and they look like they have something to work with. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out in the long haul. I mean, maybe, but you never know where the NFL is going to be a few years from now. You don't know. All of a sudden, the NFC East could be a tough division again, or all of a sudden the Giants could be the only team good. And obviously, I don't want that to happen. But the point is, you never know what can happen in just a few years. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. Like, you think in 1999, say, people would have predicted the Patriots to become a dynasty? No. But, stranger things happen. 1998, would anyone have predicted the Rams to become a champion? No, but you never know what can happen sometimes. So it's one of those that we got to wait and see how it plays out, because maybe a team that you have no expectations for all of a sudden does a complete turnaround, or a team that's looking like the future's bright does a 180 and becomes a one-year fluke, kind of like the Bears with Dick LeVeaux back in the early 2000s. So there's plenty of examples where anything can change pretty much overnight. So,
yep.
But there is the potential for the Giants to become contenders out of it. So we'll definitely keep our eye out on them as Eagles fans and see what they do with it.
Yep. Bo?
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart hire, right? I mean, he has a ton of success. They have nice pieces on that roster. They have the 5th overall pick. And you're in a division where the Cowboys self-sabotage all the time. Washington is the oldest team in the league. So they had that one spike, but I mean, at this point, they're kind of already having to backfill that roster. And the Eagles struggle to get the offense going. So, I mean, this is a situation where they can be competitive right away. I don't know that they necessarily win the division or anything. Let's not get crazy, but they can be competitive in it, which is something they haven't really been in a while. So outside of that 1 year with, Saquon. So with all of the things that are on the roster, the pick, all of those things, I mean, it makes a ton of sense for him to go there. And it makes a lot of sense from New York's side too, because they get a guy that consistently wins. Now, has he had some questionable meltdowns in the playoffs over the last 4 years? Absolutely. But I mean, would it really be the Giants if that weren't true anyway?
Right. James?
Harbaugh's a heck of a coach. As somebody that's a fan of a team that had to play him twice a year and many times 3 times a year, it's a difficult matchup every single time you go against a Harbaugh coach team. They will be extremely physical. That won't be an issue anymore. That is what Harbaugh coach teams do, is they play very tough physical football and they play very tough defense. So you're going to see a transformation on that defense very quickly to becoming one of the better defenses in the league. Of that, I have no doubt, just based off of who he is as a coach and what his teams have presented in previous years. He's going to get his guys, whether in free agency or through the draft, and build a dominant defense. If he can get a really good offensive coordinator with him, then you're going to have some scary situations for Eagles fans over there in that division. But I fully anticipate that defense making a complete 360 very quickly.
Yeah. I'm not happy about it, For the next 5 years, we're going to be against Harbaugh, but hey, may the better team win. That's all I got to say. May the better team win, and hopefully we get an offensive coordinator. That's how I want next. So, and then now Stefanski last night going to Atlanta Falcons. I thought that was a really good hire for the Falcons. So, James, right back at you.
Again, a good offensive mind this time around, right? That's Stefanski's thing. He's creative, and he'll find ways to put guys in positions to win on offense. Will they have to go get a new quarterback? I don't know.
That's the thing, yeah.
I don't think the quarterback's in position on that team right now, so that might be difficult of him walking right back into a situation with no quarterback, which is what he's been used to for a long time now. So I feel bad for him on that. I'm kind of surprised that he took that, knowing that he's not going to get the number 1 overall pick. The quarterback class seems a little bit weak after the number 1 guy this year in the draft. So he might have to wait a couple of years before he gets a quarterback that he can really work with.
Mm-hmm. Bo?
No, like I liked that hire. That's another one that this panel kind of predicted, right? If Harbaugh went to New York, we all thought that he'd probably go to Atlanta. Atlanta has a lot of the same things going for him, right? They got some nice pieces on the roster, something the coaching staff that was there underutilized. Yeah. I think Penix can actually be better than he's looked if you actually use that guy Bijan more consistently. It's crazy. He's on the roster all the time, in case you didn't know that. They didn't. But so, if you use him a lot, it takes some of the pressure off of Penix. I think that team looks wildly different, even with the quarterback that they have.
That's my team, Donna. I'm the Eagles fan. So, yeah, all good. Nikki?
I mean, hey, I'll say this. It is on paper an upgrade for the Falcons, because here's a guy who at least got the Cleveland Browns to the playoff twice, which, knowing how disorganized that team is with Jimmy Haslam, that's actually an impressive accomplishment. Now, the quarterback situation, unless they go and somehow do something in free agency or somehow surprise everyone and find a quarterback, it's going to be another year of Stefanski without a real quarterback, because Penix, with his injury history, I don't know if he's really the guy you can trust going forward, because this goes back all the way to college. But point is, quarterback's going to be tough. But as far as actually having someone who actually knows how to utilize the offense, you got to upgrade. And for a team that the last 2 seasons were a few small mistakes away from possibly making the playoffs, because you had 2 back-to-back seasons where they lost a lot of close games that they could have won and potentially won the NFC South in both cases. Now you're bringing in a more experienced coach, hoping that those curses turn into blessings and that maybe they end up being the team that wins the NFC South and finally host a home playoff game for the first time since 2016. So this has potential, though. We still got to wait and see what they do with the offseason, what the roster looks like come season time. But on paper, this is a good hire.
Yep. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with Penix. Is Kirk Cousins still there, or is he gone?
He's already behind the TV screen. He was doing a sideline, or not sidelining reporting, but he was doing the panel reporting yesterday. I forget which game.
Oh,
yeah, it was the first game, as I recall. It's funny though, because he's still under contract,
right?
So I would be surprised if he doesn't come back. Like he still wants to play, although he probably did like how much he didn't get hit on TV. So, I mean, the transition for him will be pretty good. He actually did a decent job up there. So when he's ready to hang it up, he definitely has a spot on TV, but I think he'll be back. And they're going to need him, right? Because you're still going to have Penix rehabbing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with the quarterback position. So, let me ask you this. Who's better, Scadaboo or Bijan Robinson? Bijan, right?
Oh,
Bijan.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bijan's actually established himself.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way. Bijan established himself when he's not used half the time.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's get into trivia, then we'll talk about the games later after that.
Oh, wait, before we move on, Donna,
Yeah.
Bo Nix will be fine. It's an ankle. It's a broken ankle. So that's going to be fine. That's no tendon stuff, anything like that. He goes in for surgery Tuesday. So he 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously misses the end of the season, but he'll be fine.
That sucks. That
It does.
really,
It does.
really
If this were
sucks.
going to happen, couldn't it have happened early in the season where he could still come back in time?
Yeah. All
I
right.
hate injuries. I hate injury. That's like I hated to see Kittle go down. And he always gashes Seattle, but you just never want to see a guy get hurt. Certainly a guy that loves football, loves to play the game the way that Kittle does. So, and Bo Nix is kind of like that, right? Like he just wants to go out there and play, loves playing. And so you never want to see those guys get hurt.
Mm-hmm. True. That's like the worst thing possible. All right, let's get into trivia. Which team became the first number 6 seed to win a divisional round game? The year was 2005.
Pittsburgh Steelers against Cincinnati.
Yep.
We're divisional round against the Colts.
Yep, there's that. All right. Who is the youngest head coach to win a divisional round playoff game? The year was 2017.
That was McVay, wasn't it?
McVay, 31 years old. Yep. And then this one's kind of like a gimme. Who is the oldest quarterback to win a divisional round game?
Tom Brady.
Yep. He was 41 years old. He was 41 years old when he won with the Bucs. So, yep, just thought I had to throw that in there. All right, let's get into the games. Let's start off with the Bears and Rams. James, how do you feel about that game?
I mean, I'm going to be pulling for the Bears in this one, but I got to be honest with you. I have a little more faith in the Rams.
Yep.
The Bears have been heavily reliant on fourth quarter comebacks, and there is a certain point in time where you meet up with teams that don't melt in the fourth quarter, and that might be exactly what happens in today's game. The Rams are a pretty well-rounded team, and that offense is pretty impressive. So it's no surprise that both their defensive coordinator and their offensive passing coach is being poached by every team out there as possible head coaching candidates, because this is a well-coached team with a lot of good players, and I would expect the Rams to win this one.
All right, Bo.
Yeah, the Rams are winning this one. The Bears don't play offense consistently. And, I mean, I understand it's going to be cold, but I guess people just forgot that Stafford played for Detroit for a long time, right? So
Get a dome.
Green Bay and Chicago a few times. Devontae Adams weirdly played in very similar conditions in Green Bay for years. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be fine. Also, I guess the part that people are overlooking, sure, this is going to be a 15-degree game. The Rams are a good running team. I think they're 7th when it comes to rushing. The Bears are 28th in stopping the run.
Wow.
Realistically, it's probably going to have a lot of running in it because it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, and I'm going to go with the team that can move the ball on the ground is probably the one that's going to get the win, and that's the Rams.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nikki.
Yeah, and Bo brought up a great point with the weather. It does favor the run more in this case. And remember last year, the Rams in the snow divisional round were the toughest test the Eagles had on the road to Super Bowl 59. So if they can play, we know they can play in the cold on top of that. So I don't think that's going to jinx them, even though at first you might think, well, it's got to favor the Bears, but then there's the factor of the run game. And we know DeAndre Swift can run too, but with that Bears run defense, that's their Achilles heel. And this might be the week it catches up to them because you're talking about a really good Rams team with an excellent head coach and a still capable quarterback that might not be great today, but could still throw the ball from time to time and make some plays. So I'm going to lean toward the Rams to win this one on the road and bring on the Rams Seahawks next week.
Yep, I got 4 words. What? I was on another tab.
I was just laughing at the chat. Chaser.
Okay.
Fox.
Gotcha. I got 4 words. I trust Matthew Stafford. That's it. That's my prediction. I'm going with the Rams. And then now we're going with the AFC, Texans and Patriots. Nikki.
I'll say this: the Texans' biggest weakness is quarterback headed into this one,
Okay.
and so I think this will probably be a lower scoring game that the Patriots will win,
All right.
especially
All
in
right.
Foxborough.
Mm-hmm. All right. Bo.
Yeah, I got the Patriots here. The problem with the Texans is look, their defense is elite, no question, right? The Patriots are a very well-rounded, disciplined team, and that's what you need in the postseason. When you watch C.J. Stroud last week, he was, turning the ball over. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Is Stroud's going to have to play one of his better games for them in this. Otherwise, the Patriots are very opportunistic and a very well disciplined team. So I expect the Patriots to cruise through this one. Again, not to take anything away from what the Texans have done. They are a little bit lopsided on their defense is great and the offense is inconsistent, whereas the Patriots are just very well rounded.
Mm-hmm. James.
As much as I'd love to take the Texans in this game, I just can't do it. I feel like Mike Vrabel's just such an excellent coach. He's gonna exploit any weaknesses on that Houston Texans roster. And a few of them got exposed last week. C.J. Stroud, like Bo just mentioned, turned the ball over a lot last week and looked rattled through a large portion of that game. I mean, obviously it's a very lopsided game score-wise, but with 2 late defensive touchdowns, it wasn't generally because of the offense of the Texans that they won that game. Not by that large of a margin anyway. So that's going to be a real problem going against a Mike Vrabel coach team where he finds ways to win and he has a good team to go with it. So CJ Stroud, work on your hand signals before the game. That's the best I can tell you because you're at one point in time your radio is going to go out. It's just the way that works when you play in New England. So get used to it right now.
Chaser,
Chaser,
don't speak in the chat, man. We don't want to miss people's comments if we're trying to respond to them.
Just stop. All right, Chaser, it's all good. But for me, I am going with New England as well. The Drake May all the way. That's basically it. The year he's having, he's in a conversation for MVP, but I'm still going to give it to Stafford. So I'm going to go with that. And it comes down to the coaching, man. D'Amico Ryans versus Mike Vrabel. Which coach wants it more? D'Amico Ryans has that, but I'm going to go with Vrabel because he has the better team. He has a better team all around. So whoever wins between Texans or Patriots, and they're going to be AFC champion. Pretty much. Yeah.
Feels like
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to beat up on the Broncos. I don't believe in Stidham. So
I don't think any of us do.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us do.
He's like the two.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's going to conclude the NFL Sunday Morning Show for this week. James, what you got going on?
Getting into the meat and potatoes thing. It's the exciting time of year for me because I've been used to the Steelers not making much noise in the playoffs. So East-West Shrine games coming up, Senior Bowl's coming up. All the fun, exciting things in the off-season schedule are right around the corner. So going to be talking about that on a weekly basis now. And for the first time in 19 years, a search for a new head coach.
Yep. All right, Bo?
Yeah, so just our standard daily show, 7 a.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. And of course, you can find that on our channel at Football-Talk on Roku and of course on 97.3 ICU Radio.
All right, Nikki.
We got on Tuesday, we got the 3-Point Blitz episode 44 at noon. And then at 8, we got Pick'em's Conference Championship Edition with myself and Agent Warrior X. So stay tuned for that. Also be dropping some YouTube shorts. Been doing a lot of statistical ones because I know BetMGM's been doing a lot of statistical graphics over the past couple weeks about the playoffs throughout the 21st century. So I've been sharing a lot of them too, as well as some other shorts going on. So that's what's on tap for this week.
Yep. So for me, I got nothing else to do today. I'm just relaxing. It's a day off for me. Thank God. Thank God. So I get to watch football. There's actually a basketball game in an hour too. So I get to watch that. So that's kind of cool. All right, guys. With that being said, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you all next week. Enjoy your day of football. And peace. We'll
Peace.
catch you all later, man.